Michael Joseph Francis Crowley for short. That's my confirmation. That's my confirmation name. And I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that Andy invited me back. Whenever I'm invited back to a pub, I'm really surprised, but pleasantly surprised there, because a lot of people are giving me short shrift. Okay, so I'm going to start right now at the beginning. By the way, you've had 3 snowstorms the last 2 weeks, so right now you might be thinking you're getting a snow job after you hear a couple of my jokes. A wife said to a priest, "Father, Joe and I have been married for 4 years, and we already are working 3 jobs. Can you help us?" And the father looks at her and he says, "Yes, my daughter, I can help you. Have you ever heard of the rhythm method?" And she said, "Yes, but where the hell are we going to get a band at 2 a.m. in the morning?" Let's see. There was an 8-year-old boy named Johnny, and he is leaving the house for an errand, and his mother advises him to watch out for the lights. And he looks at her and he said, "It's not the lights, my dear mother, it's the goddamn cars I'm worried about." And right now you have to worry about is the goddamn jokes I'm trying to tell you. What do you call when a ballerina has foot odor? How her toes is. So I'm a little imbalanced for telling that one, but I told it anyway. What brand of headache aspirin does the Prime Minister of England usually use? Tylenol PM. And you're getting a headache by listening to me right now, obviously. Who is the famous Hollywood figure who had the most chance of striking it rich in oil? And the answer is Orson Welles. So that wasn't well done, but I tried anyway. There was a distinguished and famous gentleman who, he was an Italian guy, and he went to a barber and he said, "Sir, I want you to give me a nice, beautiful haircut because I'm seeing the Pope for a private audience in around this next week." So the guy gives him a haircut, and around 10 days later he comes back from the trip and he sees the barber, and the barber says, "How was your trip?" He said, "It was great. I saw the cathedral, I saw the Vatican, I visited various parts of Rome, and I had my private audience with the Pope. He invited me into his chambers." And the barber said, "Yes." And then he said he did a live mass before that. He says, "Yes, yes." And then he said he asked me to approach him, and the guy said, "Yes." And then he said he bent over and whispered something in my ear. And the guy said, the barber said, "What did he say? What did he say?" And he said, "Who gave you the lousy haircut?" In my case, who gave you the lousy joke? Let's see. A beautiful blonde is pulled over by a state trooper and is asked, "Are you texting?" And she says, "No, officer, I'm from Massachusetts." And I'm ashamed to admit that I'm from Massachusetts because I'm giving it a bad name right now. In 1961, Jacqueline Kennedy was at a state dinner and she was sitting next to Haile Selassie. He was the premier of Ethiopia at the time. A little loud so we can drown out the noise, please. And so anyway, he looks over at Jacqueline Kennedy and said, "You know, Mrs. Kennedy, a lot of my opponents in Ethiopia think that I'm two-faced. But if I were two-faced, do you think I'd be wearing this one?" And that applies to myself also. Okay. One time an Italian mother takes his mother to a baseball game for the first time. And the mother doesn't know anything about baseball, but she loves Joe DiMaggio because he's Italian. So anyway, in the 4th inning, Joe DiMaggio gets a walk, and he's strolling down the first base, and the mother looks at the son, What's a Joe doing? Why is he walking down the first base?" And the father looks at his mother and said, "He's got 4 balls on him." And the mother says, "Walk it proud, Joe. Walk it proud." And I don't walk it proud after telling such jokes, I'll tell you. What do you call a mule named John? A jackass. And you're looking at one right now, even though I'm not as stubborn as a mule, because I'm still continuing telling these jokes without having the good sense to stop. A beautiful, let's see, that one. What do you call an effeminate cannibal? Cannibal? And the answer is a can of cow. So I'm really reaching for that one. And there was a young man named Matthew who goes to New York City looking for a job for employment. And he refuses a job as a hotel receptionist in front of a ritzy hotel because he didn't want to be known as a doormat. His name was Matthew in the first place, so I screwed up the joke in the first place. Okay. One time after JFK's death, Jacqueline Kennedy started to date both Aristotle Onassis and Robert Kennedy. And Aristotle was very jealous about Robert, and he was talking to Jacqueline, and he said, you know, your boyfriend's a little punk. And Jackie looked at Aristotle Onassis and said, you know, Ari, your description of Bobby is anatomically incorrect. So I just want to extend myself about, you know, incorrect little, okay, I got you. Let's see, next one. And there was a gentleman who was condemned to hell by St. Peter, and he's shown 3 rooms by the devil in which he can occupy for the rest of his, for eternity. And he sees the first room, and they're lifting boulders, and they're sweating like crazy. He sees the second room, and they're doing jumping jacks and push-ups, and they're being whipped severely. So he goes on to the third room, and he sees people standing up to their waist in cow manure, but it's a cool temperature, and they're enjoying coffee. And he said, well, this isn't paradise, but I think I'll go into this one. So he goes in there, and 10 minutes later, he hears over the loudspeaker, okay, coffee break's over, back on your heads. So, what do you call a cow who's had a miscarriage? Decaffeinated. So I just thought that would go along with coffee. A guy walks into Dunkin' Donuts with a slab of asphalt under his right armpit, and he says, I'll have a hot regular coffee, please, and one for the road. And you wish I were on the road right now after the punishment you're absorbing. What soap brand does an elephant use when he needs a quick shower? Ivory soap. So I keep that in the trunk of my car. Probably wish I had kept it to myself after telling you it. What do you call a self-centered ornithologist and who lives in Maine? And the answer is an egomaniac. What do you call a monkey with a splitting headache? A banana split. So no matter how you peel it, that was a poor joke, but here we go again. I had a colonoscopy last Friday, and there was a nurse there. I was in the curtained room in my birthday suit, and there was a nurse who said to me, hold on for a second, I'll come back with a Johnny. And I said, I don't care what the doctor's first name is, as long as he knows what he's doing. And then there was an anesthesiologist who came to see me and asked me, do you have sleep apnea? And I said, yes. And she said, well, do you wear a mask? And I said, what the hell do you think I'm wearing right now? Even though it's not Halloween. And let's see, if Ed Norton, Jackie Gleason's pal on the honeymooners had been bullheaded, what would have happened? He would have been known as Snorton Norton. What aftershave did King Kong use? Brute. I know you're going to go ape over that one, but I had to tell you anyway. Who is the celebrity that is TV celebrity that is least likely to have a dirty mind? Mr. Clean. And I don't mind telling you that one either. When I was in the 7th grade at sister school in Jamaica Plain, there was a Sister Rose that I had. And one time, I used to give a lot of money to the missions in the 7th grade, and so one time she caught me throwing eraser heads at a student in front of me. So she went over to me, Sister Rose did, and slapped me on the shoulder, and she said, 5 cents for the missions, 10 for the devil, the silent snake. And I resented that because I talked just as much as any other student in that class. So I should be excommunicated for telling that joke. And the last one, there are many, okay, I know. Let's see, there are many career-ending surgeries. I know, it's a lot of thank you. There are many career-ending surgeries in the NFL, and one time a sportscaster said the NFL stands for not for long because of the severity of the injuries that they have. Okay, who are the Asian surgeons most likely to specialize in broken jaws? Those whose last name is Chin. That would be it. By the way, on Mondays and Fridays, I'm on WCAP tomorrow morning at 6:20 a.m. with the Teddy Payne Show. And March 25th, I'm at the Road Tap and Grill in Drayton on Drake Street at 8 p.m. on March 25th on a Sunday night. And also on YouTube, look on the Michael Crowley stand-up and you can have more misery if you can endure it. Thank you very much.